Alright, what is up, everybody? So, here with my pal Valkyr. Wanted to talk about her for a sec. So, recently, a couple days ago, there was a pretty reputable Warframe content creator who seemed to be streaming the dev build, and they've since deleted that video, so I'm assuming that that was like, they shouldn't have done that, so I don't want to say their name, but they were playing Valkyr and kind of like showing how her new build works. Um, and it, unfortunately, it just really reinforced a lot of my concerns with what's happening with Valkyr. So this is, basically how they were playing was just, attacking. They would have their war cry up. They were jumping to enemies, with her one, but I'm already doing that with Wrathful Advance on my build. And her 3 has like a crazy damage buff. But if you just leverage the finisher attacks from her 3 right now, you get effectively a massive damage buff. So, and he actually wasn't even using her 3 at all. And he'd modded a Doriga for shield gating. So, a build like this, which I didn't actually see his exact mods, but I'm assuming it would be something like this, which I also use my Doriga for this. So basically, if you have a pet with an ability that spreads status effects really well through Manifold Bond, and then so they're constantly getting their abilities reduced, they're constantly spreading status effects, and when they get their abilities reduced, that also reduces the ability cooldown on Guardian and Shield Charger. So a build like this on a Warframe or on a Sentinel is going to dramatically increase your survivability. Like this alone can shield gate you pretty well. So, in summary, he wasn't actually really using her rage meter because he was just shield gating. He wasn't using her 3, which is one of the redesigned abilities. He was barely using her 1, and the functionality of her 1, you can't get the grouping and the charge attack on live. You actually could if you used like ensnare and then the dive attack from the hysterical assault augment. You could actually replicate that. But like if I wanted to actually use that kit, like what am I losing? I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna lose Wrathful Advance. That's a lot of crit chance on her claws. So, and as you could see, like these are level 200 Steel Path enemies. Like zero, Valkyr does not have damage problems right now. Like that is the least of her concerns. Her claws do stupid damage. Like I actually have been loving playing her ever since the exalted weapons got refreshed, because of that. So I'm just I'm a little miffed, if I'm gonna be honest, because it really feels like DE is making some nothing burger changes just to sell her heirloom skin. If I'm just going to be honest. Because here's the problem. What I saw in his video, or, in his stream of him playing the new Valkyr, it looked exactly the same as the current Valkyr. And it was actually very similar to how I play Valkyr with this helmet setup with Wrathful Advance. So, if that's the case, then people who don't like Valkyr now aren't all of a sudden going to start liking her when the patch comes out. So it really feels like they're just changing her for the sake of changing her to get attention to sell an heirloom skin. Which, I very, very rarely make videos that are critical of DE because, frankly, like, they just rarely deserve it. They are generally really good at, responding to feedback and doing things that players want, etc. I mean, we saw recently where they made some change to controller layouts and they literally fixed it within like a day when they realized that it was impacting people. So, on average, DE is really good about responding to feedback. I'm So which makes me even more confused that they are seemingly completely ignoring all the feedback on this topic. Um, and like I've said before, I've made a couple videos about this now. Like, I don't really care if her 4 is full invulnerability or not. I just want some way of actively mitigating damage for health tanking. Whether that's like the stagger idea, which is like a little passive, you interact with that with your stats. I outlined that in my my last video about this. Or if it's something like more active. So like maybe her 3, like I don't know, something like gives her like some kind of health gate or something like that. Like give it an active component. I'm thinking about this a lot from my time spent tanking in MMOs, where in the early days of MMOs, obviously like shields aren't really a thing. I mean, like physical shields are a thing, but like shields on your health bar aren't really a thing. So a lot of the early days of MMO tanking, it was just passive mitigation, and that made tank really boring. And then in the past, several years, I'd say probably 10 years of MMOs, active mitigation has become much more common for tanks. And that actually makes them pretty fun. So, you know, it's okay to have a character that can soak up a lot of damage design wise, especially if the player has to do something to get to that point. Do I want somebody to be able to AFK in a level cap mission with a Naros and not take any damage? No, that's stupid. But like, I feel like he should at least have a chance if he's using some mechanic and actively participating. But whatever. So that was a little bit of a concern that I had watching that recent video, or recent stream rather. The VODs has since been deleted. So it, as of right now, it doesn't look like DE is really taking any of the feedback that's been provided. Which I guess at the end of the day, that's their prerogative. So I hope that DE kind of maybe listens. I'm not sure. But yeah, so I'll see you on the next one. Peace.